Next up is going to be Officer Joe Ruiz from the California Highway Patrol. She's filling in for Officer O2. I believe it's going to be on a permanent basis, or?
Hopefully.
Okay, great. So let's welcome her.
Nice to meet you. I was here. Can you guys hear me, or do you want me to grab the microphone? Microphone? Okay.
Good evening. Hi. I'm Officer Ruiz. You guys can call me Joe. It's a pleasure to meet you guys. I'm the newest addition to the community outreach program for Santa Fe Springs. As far as our logs for traffic complaints, I personally, what we received within the last few weeks, or at least this month into October as well, there was a traffic complaint for Cel Rosso at Rio Bonito. I believe the issue was traffic was coming down at a little faster speed. The concern was they wanted us to monitor the speed, do in-view patrol, in traffic enforcement. I personally went up there a few times last week and the week before. There are 2 speed bumps on Cel Rosso, so I was able to monitor that. There's 2 traffic signs, but on Rio Bonito, there's only a traffic sign to slow down and there's no speed bumps. So I know there was an issue. I'm not sure if it was anybody in here, or if you guys are familiar with the area, but it's a significant downhill drive into the unincorporated industry area. And even when I was parked up there, it's a blind curb. So being parked up there is a little interesting because traffic coming downhill at the intersection can't see you. I know there was another traffic complaint that I personally also worked. It was on Greencastle and Greenport. There was about 3 people that called in. I personally actually contacted the people from the complaints, and I was out there in view patrol. We issued about 20 citations out of that traffic complaint. It was a stop sign that was being ran in multiple directions. It was a T intersections. A few new things with us. I don't know if a lot of you guys are familiar with Red Ribbon Week, but we did 20 schools with the Whittier and unincorporated area. I know that doesn't relate a lot to you guys, but our public information officer is trying to divide the areas between Roland Heights, Hacienda Heights, the industry, Whittier. This year we did Whittier, we did 20 schools, and hopefully next year we can get some of your guys' schools so we can go and make a great impact to the future of our community. I was told to touch up on motorized scooters. What is your guys' concerns on that? Let's see if I can answer some questions. Yes, sir.
What do you got?
What is the speed limit for these motorized scooters on the sidewalk?
It's a great introduction, you guys. So, I, being the newbie in the group, didn't get a heads up on this, but I did a little bit of homework. The speed limit is 15 miles per hour, you guys. 15 miles per hour. And if you're talking about a motorized scooter or an electric bike, it can only be operated on a bike path, trail, not on a sidewalk at 15 miles per hour. You do not need to register them. You can drive them with any class of a driver's license. Just obviously be cautious, be careful. You're still in control of that vehicle. Obviously it changes if it's a moped. A moped does require the registration, and it does require your M1 endorsement driver's license. As far as going back to the motorized scooters, do not ride them on the sidewalk. And then when you guys are going through the crosswalks, you also have to dismount and walk through the crosswalk. So similar to a bike or a bicycle, the similar rules would apply. The only difference is now you have your speed because it's a motorized. So hopefully that answers your guys' questions. Yes, sir, go ahead.
Who is going to enforce them?
Honestly, that would fall on all of us. So that would go with us as highway patrol. I patrol a lot of what is like the 60, the Roland Heights, the industry area. If we see those violations, we're going to enforce them. That would fall back also on industry sheriffs, right? The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. It would fall on local PDs or our surrounding allied agencies to enforce those laws. All that's going to be on all of us, unfortunately, to make it better. Any other questions? I'll be here also after the meeting. If you guys have any questions, feel free to come up and talk to me and say hi. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Officer Ruiz, and welcome to Rolling Heights. Next on our agenda would be Office of First District Supervisor Hilda Luis. Ryan?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ryan Serrano. I'm Senior Field Deputy with the Office of Supervisor Hilda Solis. And I just have a couple of items for you tonight. The first one I want to highlight is the notice of completion of availability of the draft EIR Environmental Impact Report for the Royal Vista Golf Course. The time for comment will close, let me get this, I don't want to make this wrong. January 5th, 2024. It officially opened on October 30th of this year. That's a total of 67 days. So if you do have comment regarding the proposed project, I believe the document is approximately 700 pages long, so it is quite a read. However, I do know it is so extensive because there was quite a few questions that were submitted prior to the EIR being requested. If you have any additional questions or how to comment, how to submit those, me and myself and my colleague, Frank, will be here to answer any questions. But I know that this is a big deal in the community, so if you do have any concerns, please do make sure you get those in the allotted time. Additionally, I just wanted to share, there is a new program available for MetroLink. It's called Mobility for All. Anybody that has an EBT card is eligible to receive a 50% discount on any and all rides through MetroLink. So that's a really good one if you know anybody that is in need of some rides. I know with the 10 freeway, there's going to be quite some backups. So maybe now is the time to start riding MetroLink. And then lastly, I did want to just highlight this Thursday, Supervisor Solis will be hosting her annual Unhoused holiday luncheon. We have over 30 organizations coming out to provide services and support for our most vulnerable population. If you do have the opportunity to come out, you want to check out some of the work we do to assist those that are experiencing homelessness, I strongly encourage you all to come out. And with that, I'll go ahead and open it for any questions. Yes, sir.
Mr. Serrano, as far as here in Rolling Heights and was up for last month, I want everybody to be able to hear me. That we know the pink house, the Martinez house on Colima, which has had the 2 burnouts, etc. And this evening, once again, and I'll be putting the video up on my YouTube channel, the Transients are using that as a living facilities. And we were told by you that it was going to be taken down. What's the holdup?
Yes, I believe, Roy, I told you that that's a private property and that the Department of Public Works has been in contact with that private property owner to take care of their private property matter. Have you reached out to the Sheriff's Department?
This has been going on, and I got all kinds of videos on my YouTube channel where the Sheriff's Department's negligence, and they saw smoke coming out, but somebody just put out the fire in there. 2 days later, they had a huge fire in there, and it's negligence upon the Public Works. Are you kidding? With James Yang and what was it, Kerry, and the big boss down there. Well, I think they should all be terminated. And this is what you come to me for this? What about you? You're supposed to be the county representative on this.
Thank you for your comments, sir.
I just got the question, and when is it coming down? For the safety and welfare of this community. Okay, now we're timed out here. And thank for we got 14 people here tonight. Thank you.
If anybody would like to, yes, sir, go ahead.
Can't hear you.
Green Bay Drive.
On my way, Roy.
Reese is on the Green Bay Drive, Angelic Elementary. Are they ever going to take care of that? Come down and, because a lot of that stuff is dried up brush.
So I did flag those concerns for both the fire department and for Public Works. I haven't received a response back, but after this, I'm gonna go actually and take some photos so I can follow up with them tomorrow morning.
Remember, I text you photos on that.
No, of course, it's about the time stamp. So we have your photos from the original flagging, and then I'm gonna follow up and say, look, it's been a week, and I'm taking these on the evening of the Roland Heights Community Coordinating Council, and there's still nothing been done. Can we
There's
please
an
address
there's
it?
an elementary school right there in the corner.
No, of course, sir. I understand the concern.
That stuff, I don't have to tell you what's gonna happen. All kinds of parents are gonna raise hell. I mean, this could be prevented.
I completely understand, and I will personally go out there after this meeting and take some photos and follow up tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Ryan?
I got a quick question.
Yes, sir.
Who makes the decision on the Oil Vista project?
What decision exactly are you asking? Like the final decision?
A final decision?
So, as far as the process is concerned, once this comment section for the EIR is complete, then I believe there will be another hearing at the commissioner level, and then depending on their analysis and assessment, it will either die there or go to the Board of Supervisors for final decision.
Okay, so the Board of Supervisors will vote themselves as to whether it's gonna happen or not.
If it makes it that far. Like I said, if at the commission level, they decide that based off of the response that they received in the EIR and the developers' responses are not meeting or addressing the needs of the community, then it could be voted down there at the commissioner level. So, still many steps to go. Right now, we're on the response from the community to the submitted EIR, and then there'll be, I believe, one more hearing before it goes to the actual commission for their discussion.
Correct, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a time span in between there, like, do you have any kind of time span?
I'm not entirely sure on the time span on that, but what I can do is I'm gonna give you my card after this, and then if you can send me an email, that way I can follow up directly with you.
Hey Ryan, I'm John Conk. I represent the Royal Vista Residential Project. I just wanted everybody to know that we've requested that we have the opportunity to present a project update at the next meeting of this group next month. So that's December 11th. And we've asked if we can do that. So if you'd like to come, we'll be taking your questions and answering questions that evening. Thanks.
Fantastic. There you go. You have it here first, guys. That's
Not
great
only,
news.
to respond to that, he did make a request. I also informed Mr. Conk that that would be taken to the executive board on the 15th. Every presenter is presented to the executive board. The board approves the speaker for the following month. I let Mr. Conk know that that would be done on the 15th, and I would let him know the following day whether or not his presentation was approved. However, Mr. Conk took it upon himself to already post that he would be speaking on December 11th, which I think was pretty disrespectful to this council.
It's a lot of moving parts. If there's any other additional questions, I'll be right over here on the side. Thank you so much, everyone.
Congresswoman Linda Sanchez, representative. I don't believe I saw anyone. Nope. Senator Bob Archuleta, representative? I believe not. Josh Newman? I believe not. Assemblywoman Lisa Calderon? I believe because of the Veterans Day holiday, a lot of people had the long weekend, I'm assuming. Roland Unified School District, I don't see any representative here. And I don't see anyone from Mount San Antonio College. So we will go on to our keynote speaker that was approved by our council, Andrea Gullo. Andrea?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Andrea Gallo. I'm with the Puente Hills Habitat Preservation Authority. I'm the executive director. And a little bit about me. I've been in the field of wildland management for over 27 years. I used to work at the Wildlife Corridor Conservation Authority, Mountains Recreation Conservation Authority, California State Department of Parks and Recreation. And thank you. Oh, do I need to do this? Okay. Let me just pull the presentation up. That one. again, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak. So we are a public agency created in 1994. Am I in the way here? And we manage almost 4,000 open space acres. We have a board of directors. So we are a government agency, so we have a board of directors. On the board is a representative from the county, a representative from the city of Whittier, a representative from the sanitation districts, and then we have a community member on our board from Hacienda Heights. We also have a 9-member advisory committee. And we have one of those advisory committee members here tonight, Brian Correas. Am I saying your last name? Yeah, okay. He is a resident of Rowland Heights. So he's on our advisory committee, and that is a 9-member advisory committee, and we rely on our advisory committee to provide feedback on what the community is thinking and feeling about what we're doing. So basically, we restore, manage, and preserve open space. We provide outdoor recreation with our trails and assist with wildfire preparedness. Raise your hand if you've heard of us before. The Habitat Authority, Puente Hills Habitat Preservation Authority. Great! Oh, that's fantastic, because we fly under the radar a lot, and I'm glad to hear that some people know about us. So that's wonderful. Maybe you've been to some of our trailheads. They are public trailheads. We have 6 of them. The closest one to you, or to this community center, is Powder Canyon in La Habra Heights. Raise your hand who's been to Powder Canyon. Fantastic. Yeah, our trails link up with Shabaram Park as well. And then we have other trailheads in Whittier and Hacienda Hills and unincorporated LA County. And there's more information about our trails and our trailheads on our website as well. The maps are there, and then also maps are at all the trailheads as well, of the trails. So let me tell you, I'll start off by telling you a little bit about us and what we've been up to lately. And so this is our preserve updates. Some of you may or may not have heard there is a new heli hydrant located near your community. The Habitat Authority, our agency, we donated land for the county and the city of La Habra Heights to put an open air water tank on our property at a high elevation that's suitable enough for a big helicopter to come down, siphon water, and respond to wildfires in a quick way. So it's a regional facility that will be available if there's any type of fire in the nearby area, including Rowland Heights. We were supposed to have a dedication ceremony on Friday, but the rains canceled it. It will be rescheduled. Anyway, we're very happy to be involved with this joint agency endeavor. Also, La Habra Heights Water District helped as well. I'm sorry?
Can we ask a question as we go?
That's fine. It's fine with me. She's bringing the microphone over.
How quickly can the helicopter rebuild and take off?
We asked the question again.
Yes.
How quickly can the helicopters land and take off? They don't land.
They do not land. That's the beauty of this. Before, when there was a wildfire, they would go over to Shabaram Park, land, and then there'd be people to manually hook up the helicopter nozzle to the water tank there and then take off. But the beauty of this is they don't have to land. It can be remote controlled from the helicopter. Now, this is phase 1. Phase 2 will be having La Habra Heights Water District find the money to improve the water line, to increase the volume, to increase the speed at which this is filled up with water. Right now, the water tank will be filled up on red flag days. That's high fire danger days, just because the pipe needs to be improved so the water can fill up as it was designed. So that'll be phase 2. But for right now, it is better than what used to be in place.
The follow-up question would be, who's in charge of the helicopter? Is that CAL FIRE or
It's
that
LA
local?
County, LA County Fire.
LA County?
LA County Fire is in charge of the fighting the fires. Also, La Habra Heights Fire, but they don't have the helicopters. So La Habra Heights fights the fires on the ground in coordination with LA County Fire. It's LA County Fire helicopters. But also Orange County will be allowed to use this as well. So we have, we've done a lot. We're a really small agency. We only have 3 staff people right now. And but we've done a lot. We've restored 200 acres of weedy land out there into natural native habitat. And we're currently restoring 100 acres for a total of 300 acres. So what that is we take the flashy fuels, the weeds, the non-native plants out, and we put in native habitat. And it's good for, not only for the wildlife and increasing biodiversity, but also it's not as quick to catch on fire. And so this is funded almost 100% by outside sources. I'd say 99.999% by outside sources. So we've been very fortunate with that because it costs millions of dollars to do what we do. And we're doing a lot of it in Powder Canyon too. If you've been on the trails there, you may have seen some of our activities. So you can see on the left is the before photos, on the right is the after photos. So these are weeds on the left, native habitat, good stuff on the right. And everything's going really well. And these are heavily regulated projects by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. I mean, they're meticulously laid out in plans. We have annual reports. We need final sign-off by the federal agencies. So that's why this is a very expensive endeavor, but we've been very fortunate to get outside funding sources for that. We also have state grant funds for wildfire prevention activities. We were lucky enough to get one of the second largest grants from CAL FIRE in LA County on its first round. And that was a couple years ago, and it was a multi-year program. So we've been able to do things we didn't have the funds for. One was goats in Trimble Canyon, and the other is dead tree removal and annual clearance around homes. So have any of you been to Trimble Canyon at all? Familiar with that area? Okay, a few of you. So we had goats the last 2 years grazing out there. Everybody loves the goats. They did a great job and munching down the weeds. And we chose Trimble Canyon, this area right here. You can see the cleared area because it's a break in between Hacienda Heights and Whittier, and there were a lot of spot fires here over the years. So we hope to get funding in the future, but we did the 2 years of the grant, and unless we get another grant, we won't be doing that again. So this is an example of what we do annually. We clear around the homes. You know, the preserve is almost entirely surrounded by homes, except of course for our connection to the Era properties over under Harbor Boulevard and over to Chino Hills State Park. You know, we are part of the wildlife corridor, Puente Chino Hills Wildlife Corridor, but we do have a lot of homes around us, and we do annual clearance, and we were able to do it this year with state grant funds. Here's another example of our clearance, and this is a photo of homes in Hacienda Heights that we cleared around as well. It costs almost $200,000 annually to do that, just clearance once. We also were lucky enough to get state grant funding from CAL FIRE to do dead and hazardous tree removal. You know, the droughts really did a number on our trees, and a lot of them died all at once, really. So over the last 2 years of this grant, we removed 250 dead and dying and hazardous trees. And then over the last 3 years, we did at least 300 trees. Another photo of our tree removal. And we did get another state grant from the Rivers and Mountains Conservancy. We were lucky enough to get that. And we have a variety of projects throughout the reserve as well on this one. One is goats. This photo was taken from a resident in La Habra Heights from her backyard. And it's a great photo of our goat herders from Peru, clearing the brush around the homes there. And so this was about 30 acres as well in La Habra Heights. And we got some state funding for extra clearance behind homes and along emergency access routes. You know, everything we do, we try and do it on a science-based level. We have a resource management plan. And so, you know, like cities have general plans, we have a resource management plan. And it was developed with back in 2007 with a lot of community input and by a lot of regional biologists and scientists. And our ecologist helps keep us on track and that we're managing our land in a science-based way, but, you know, as much as science can help us in some situations, I should say. So a part of that is our wildlife camera study. We had cameras out for a couple years and capturing wildlife in various key parts of the preserve. And we are currently in the data analysis stage of that. And she is comparing data between, I think 2020, 2022 to 2013. And we hope to have this report out within 6 months. Here's a great photo of a bobcat. Does anybody have any idea where this is? Yeah, Harbor Boulevard, the underpass. So we have a tunnel, a secret tunnel, don't tell anybody, under Harbor Boulevard for wildlife. And and I'm proud to say that this is the first and currently the only wildlife tunnel or underpass in LA County. And we built it back in 2006 in partnership with the County of LA and the State of California, Caltrans and the Parks Department, and of course us. And we did it because we had no evidence of bobcat on crossing from one side of the open space to the other. And now we have lots of evidence of that happening, so it works. And we're really happy about that. So we're monitoring it to make sure it continues to function. We also have a contract, so we only have 3 staff members, but we have a contract for ranger services with another government agency, just like us. We're a joint powers authority, and our rangers work for a joint powers authority as well. They're called the Mountains Recreation and Conservation Authority. So we contract with them annually, and they are California peace officers. They can write tickets, make arrests for all the laws, and they are trained wildland firefighters. And they provide extra patrol during high fire danger, and especially on 4th of July. They help us with resource protection, maintenance, and outdoor education. You know, part of what they do is they do a lot. They're the full service ranger. Part of it is getting on a mower and mowing our trails every year. And this year there was just a ton of growth. So this is for our hiking trails and our emergency access trails. And their main focus is their main goals, why we have them, is to keep the hills and the trails clean and safe. They patrol a lot, you know, they're law enforcement officers, and from time to time they confiscate weapons. And so here's an example of things that they run across, and also fireworks. Nobody likes fireworks out in the hills, right? That's not a good idea. They don't go together. So, also, this is a recent photo, just taken 2 weeks ago, but it represents things they do all the time. You know, they run across unhoused individuals, homeless individuals in the hills, which is not safe. You know, wildfires is first on our mind, and you know, we escort them out. We you know, provide them with the information they need for services. If we need to, we'll call upon our partners to help with that. But we cannot leave a homeless encampment once we find it for overnight. It has to be gone that day. Also, probably their least favorite thing is picking up dumpings on the side of the road. It happens more than you can imagine. So there's a lot of that. everything from, refrigerators to, mattresses, bikes, construction equipment, just regular trash. But if they find an address, they will go to that address and have that person come back and pick it up, which they have done, because they don't want to pick it up. And it's not their responsibility. So, our funding has been decreasing over the years. This is a fun thing that we like to do, but it's a junior ranger program, outdoor educational program. It has, ever since the pandemic, it was cut for obvious reasons, but then our budget really hit its challenges during the pandemic, so it was cut because of financial reasons. But we were, the Assemblywoman Calderon and Senator Archuleta, they helped us out with some state funding last year, so we were able to reintroduce junior ranger programming this year on a limited basis. I don't know if we'll have enough for next year, but we hope to. We also did cut, in addition to the junior ranger program, we had our own outdoor educational programming, which we have cut due to financial challenges. But we're happy to have this back in a limited capacity. This is Powder Canyon. You can see the school bus in the background in the parking lot. Okay, onto our funding. So you've seen a little bit of what we do. We do a lot, but those are the highlights of what we do. So our primary sources of funding have been slightly declining over the last 10 years, and they no longer cover our rangers, our wildfire prevention, and other services that we provide. So, and like I've mentioned, we've been lucky in getting several competitive one-time grants and other state funding, but these are not sustainable funding sources for us as a public agency to provide the community. We've been very lucky so far. To maintain our services, we need reliable, stable source of funding. That's what we are looking for. This is a big, lot going on in this slide. I won't go into everything, but overall, our expenses are higher than our revenue. So, as a summary, we have most of our money comes from our investment portfolio, which is managed by the County of LA, the Chief Financial Officer over there. Fantastic, brilliant individual. He does a great job for us. But the rest of a large chunk of our money comes from it's called the mitigation program, which is our habitat restoration program, which has a finite sunset period. It won't last forever. And grants, which we've been lucky to get. And so we've been operating on a shoestring budget. We used to collect, so the way our agency was created was in 1994, when the Puente Hills landfill expanded. We got $1 per ton of trash that went into the landfill. And and when the recession hit in 2008, trash went down, our funding went down as well, but we adjusted, right? But then the landfill closed in 2013 on schedule, and it closed on schedule and as promised to the community of Hacienda Heights by the supervisors to close that on time, but it was under capacity. So we made less money than we budgeted, when we planned for, than we expected. But we adjusted again, but then the pandemic hit, and that affected our finances, and then everything, the costs went up, and other grants guidelines changed, and we just haven't been able to keep up with it. And we have tried, and we've tried. So like I mentioned, we've had declining funding over the last several years, but the county is our controller. The county's on our board of directors. We work closely with the auditor controller's office. And I also have accounting help as well, the CPA. But don't take our word for it. We hired an independent outside financial institution to review our books. We gave them everything. And their conclusion was that additional revenue sources are needed to avoid further budget cuts to rangers, fire prevention, and other top services. As you can see by the lower chart, we are already in the red. And we are able to make the budget this year because of the help from Senator Archuleta and Calderon this past year. We're tightening our belt. We already had just a very shoestring budget, but there's not much to tighten. I mean, there's not much more we can eliminate and reduce on an already shoestring budget, but we've decreased ranger services, eliminated staff that coordinated our volunteers and did our outdoor educational programming, aside from the junior ranger programs. And then we've, done other things like reduced supplies, no memberships, no holiday parties that we pay for. So, without additional funding, cuts would be required, including eliminating ranger services, possibly eliminate access for individuals and families, and reducing our annual brush clearance efforts. Other open space districts, other park agencies, government agencies, they have financial mechanisms in place, like they collect revenue from sales tax or community facility districts or property taxes. And there is the Mountains Recreation Conservation Authority has a taxing mechanism in LA County. We don't collect any taxes right now. So, but that's a standard practice for how these open space and park districts make their budgets. So, we are looking to find funding for rangers, fire prevention, and essential services, and we are exploring. No decisions have been made yet, but we're in the discovery, sharing this information with the community, asking for feedback stage right now. So we are looking at a community facility district that would allow us to explore our local funding options. The top priorities would, of course, be security and cleanliness of the preserve, preventing wildfires, and maintaining and protecting the natural habitats. This is the boundary of the potential CFD. It includes the city of Whittier, unincorporated Whittier area, Hacienda Heights and Roland Heights, and La Habra Heights. The yellow here are the lands that we own and manage. So key projects would be, of course, clearing the brush from emergency access routes for first responders, protecting natural local lands by preventing homeless encampments and vandalism and illegal dumping. You'd be surprised at how much vandalism there is out on the trails, and graffiti and dumping. There's just a lot. Maintaining natural habitats, including the Hacienda Hills, Trimble Canyon, Sycamore, Hellman, Arroyo Pescadero, and Powder Canyon. And maintaining our park ranger patrols for fire safety and keeping our hills and trails safe, providing emergency response. If the CFD were successful, which would need a vote of the people on a ballot, all funds would be locally controlled and would not be taken from the state for any other purposes. We'd have an independent citizens oversight committee, and of course, like we do now, there'd be annual audits and financial accountability. And that's the information I have for you now. Yes, I can answer any questions.
One is, on your literature, it says the endowment is provided by Pony Hills landfill. Can't that be a source of funding for you?
It is, so that's what I mentioned. It's managed by the County of LA. That was, how I said the landfill closed in 2013? So we got money from that, and it is invested with the county invested for us, the highest yields they can possibly get, and it's just not enough.
It's not a factor then.
It's not enough. It's less than 60% of our revenue.
My other question is, you have a list of all the wildlife that has been observed in the?
We absolutely do. It's in, we have a list in our resource management plan. It lists all the animals and all the potential animals. Yeah. So we've got a lot of animals, over 150 species. And some, we manage primarily for the coastal California gnatcatcher, which is protected under the Endangered Species Act. That's why we were able to get all this habitat restoration. It's for that bird.
What's your status of getting the CFDs on the ballot?
Well, like I said, no decisions have been made. It needs to go, first of all, our board needs to take an action to say, yes, we want to do that. And if they do that, it'll be in the spring at our board meeting. And then it would go, if they took that action, yes, it would go onto the November 2024 ballot.
Are there similar organizations that are also proposing measures like the CFD?
Yeah, like I mentioned, the agency the Rangers work for, they've passed several of them in LA County successfully. Yeah, and then all those other agencies, there's many other open space districts and park agencies that have passed these.
One last question. Do you have any idea how many homeless persons are living in the hills?
Well, hopefully none, because we're pretty good at trying to keep them out. The Rangers occasionally run across individuals, like last week, our ecologist who oversaw our tree removal project, she wanted to go inspect a tree above Murphy Ranch ball fields off of Kalima, and she saw an encampment. She didn't want to approach it because it can be dangerous. So she backed away, called the ranger, he approached and cleared the site. So yeah, hopefully none, but they're, you never know.
Encampments, that implies a lot of people.
No, it's usually only one person, one or two people. Yeah, never, no. There's not a lot of people out there. It goes to show though, I've heard stories from other government agencies who are to save money. They say, oh, rangers don't patrol over here. We don't have the money. It'll be fine. 6 months later, they had a whole encampment that was just a mess to get rid. Took a lot of money and resources to get rid of the homeless encampment. So our constant presence out there is effective and is needed. Gosh, that's it. Okay, well, thank you. Visit our website. There's more information there, and I really appreciate your inviting me here, and it's a pleasure to be here. So thank you.
Andrea, do you want to talk about tomorrow?
Oh, yes, thank you for reminding me. Well, we have this same presentation tomorrow, right here on this stage tomorrow, but the difference is there'll be cookies and coffee and water, and our board chairman will be delivering the presentation along with our ecologist and our rangers, and we'll have some volunteers there as well for you to meet. So hear generally the same information, but from a different perspective or with more details. So we welcome you all to come here tomorrow. The doors open at 6, and the presentation starts at 6:30. And there's more information over here on the table for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we went through this evening pretty quickly. Thank you all. A couple announcements. Next month's meeting, December 11th, we plan to have it more of a social event, so there will be refreshments and cookies, and we're going to have a lot of different giveaways for you next month. So please come back next month and tell people to come. And if there are any questions, comments, anybody needs to say, now is the time.
Now's the time, right?
Now is the time. Of course, Roy.
Okay, we're glad Mr. Serrano is still here. Maybe he can chime in. What's the status on getting the, I call them transients, one at the Jack in the Box, the other one's across the street. I think there's a new one across the street, getting them to move on. That's item number 1. Now, if I go too fast, let me know. Item number 2, we have, such as over on Berry Canyon Cutoff, near the school there, we have campers, RVs that are camping. Now, we got them off of our neighborhood, but they got them, and the thing is, we need action from the county, from the sheriffs, so forth, and well, the sheriff's is a unique situation on that. So those are our 2 items that, and you know that as Deputy Denver says, Rolling Heights is so fragmented, it's difficult to get anything done, and unless the county takes some proactive action, we're gonna stay ghetto. So we've got 2 items, 1, the transients, no matter where they are, and the campers, RVs.
Thank you, Roy. Yes. So speaking of proactive, actually just a few weeks ago, some of the team from Supervisor Solis' office facilitated a meeting between the Sheriff's Department, our Union Station Outreach Services, and LASA, the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority, to speak specifically about the individual experiencing homelessness at the Jack in the Box. They have done extensive outreach to this individual. He is actually a former resident of Rolling Heights. It appears he's come down on hard times. You know the story, divorce, doesn't know where to go, but he still loves his community, and so he decides to stay where he is currently. However, they do continue to conduct outreach to him, and it's all about building relationships. So they continue to offer him the services, and they are hopeful that he will, in a short period of time, come inside.
Okay, I don't know if you can hear me. That's totally unacceptable, and that's what everything's wrong with Los Angeles County and our supervisor. Those are our sidewalks, they belong to and there are laws governing this, and you just don't get to camp out on our sidewalks and also impinge on private property there. So this is not acceptable.
The Boise 9th Circuit Court ruling.
Yeah, I know what that is.
I think we've discussed this many times before, Roy.
No, you have facilities, they cannot impinge on if you have facilities available for them, they either take them or you can arrest them, get them out of there. So that's just totally not acceptable. And tomorrow, and I know you're going to mention this, County Board of Supervisors meeting starts at 9:30, and you can be on there. And also, the supervisors meetings are on YouTube. After that, they're put up, and you see what's going on with your County Board of Supervisors, and it's an eye opener to say the least. But this is totally unacceptable.
For the item 2, you said that there was trailers, or are they RVs, or are these big rig trucks? What kind of vehicles are we talking about?
RVs, and you want to know about the situation there? Talk to our Walnut sheriffs. My neighborhood watch people, we did yeoman's work taking care of that. Of course, we couldn't have done it without the sheriffs fulfilling their duties and responsibilities to the community under the laws of the state of California. Thank you.
I'm glad that they were able to address the concerns. Thank you, Roy.
Thank you. Are there any other comments, questions, things you really need to get off your chest? It's important to you. Of course, Roy.
Is there any real truth to that? It's totally rumor. That the RHCCC is, I heard 2 rumors. One, it was going to fold up its head and move on off to the sunset. The other one is that do a redo, a rebirth, if you will, and become the Rolling Heights Improvement Association, i.e. Hacienda Heights, and where we're proactive and do something to make this. And we won't talk about Zoom. I've done this endlessly with Carrie Chen, and again, as long as you want to stay in the 19th century, that's what's done. And look what you have here tonight.
I'm not sure what the question is. I think you're just talking about a couple of rumors. As far as I know, we have not heard anything about disbanding this council, so I'm not sure where you're getting that information from. Yes?
I was just looking at some demographics last week, and I saw that Rockland Hills, they have less land than on the city of Rolling Heights. I was wondering, but they have a city council.
Right.
I was wondering, are there any plans with the Rolling Heights?
You know, to become a city?
I'm a city.
That was planned a while ago to become a city, and it kind of went to the waywards. And there is talk about making Rolling Heights a city, because I think a lot of people are frustrated with being kind of a stepchild, you know, and want their part of the pie. And being an unincorporated part of LA County, you don't always get that. So I think what has been and was talk, and continues to have talk, but affirmative yes or no, I have no idea.
I think the city of Rolling Heights should have its own mayor. Twin Hills has their own mayor, and they only have like 3.2 miles of land or something. That's
Right,
compared to
they're
13 miles.
Twin Hills, there's the city of industry. That's the city of industry. They're a whole different function.
Yes.
They have very few residential in their area. We do not have a lot of businesses in our area.
Okay,
Yes,
and
Rite.
this gentleman here, and of course, the power structure here, well, not say, but Roy Humphreys, in case you don't know, that's me, was principal of 4%, and on my YouTube channel, see it, the first thing in the movement, which we got the signatures, but we don't want to go there and make it try. And we also put up for the second one, which we did go for, so we had issues with the county, did go, and this was another young man, who was up. So you want to know anything about city movement and so forth, you talk to me, and I'm not the expert, but there's a guy named Robert Lewis, who is the king of kings. If you want to know, we are not a city, and that's why we are what we are. And I won't worry with the dogs are fine.
Okay, are there any other comments, questions? No? We have some raffle prizes if you're interested. We'll bring them over, and this is just a little warm-up for next month. Next month we'll have a lot of prizes and door prizes to give out. We have, I think, 5 today. And I repeat, next month we'll have more of a Christmas social next month with goodies and social event. And let's see what the first ticket number is. Sure.
And I just want to say, even though we're not a city and we're here, we actually want to do things for our community. And we volunteer our time to make it better, and we want to thank you for coming and participating. And if there's any way that we can work together to make it better, that's the whole point of having this meeting. Even though we're not a city, we have people that represent other areas. They're here, and maybe we can use them to make Rolling Heights better, but it's all up to us. And let's have some fun now. Okay, the first one is 2409. And that's for a nice surprise. See, you're a lucky one. You said she said she never wins.
There you go. There's a gift card inside too.
The next prize is the next lucky person, 2405.
The last 4 numbers, 2405. Nobody? Somebody?
The next one is 2417.
Yay! Oh, that's the last one. Oh, that's the little one. There's a gift card inside.
Sure.
Yes.
The next one,
Ooh.
after the meeting, the one, 2410. Oh, there you go. Party. Thank you. Okay, the next one is 2413. And the last Lucky person is 2408.
Woo-hoo! Okay, once again, I want to thank everybody for coming this evening, and we hope to see you all next month.